Right back live tonight here on In Focus. Africa's HIV prevalence among all age groups still ranks high in the world. Expert reports show that about 8.2 million people live with HIV in the country. At the same time, the Department of Health says it's concerned that only 80% of HIV patients are on antiretroviral therapy. For more on this discussion, we're joined now by Ramphelane Morewane, the Acting Health Programs Deputy Director General. Mr. Morewane, good to have you, and thank you very much for coming on this evening. So, first and foremost, the 80% you speak of and the 20% that you speak of that is not in any kind of program, are these people that would have been positively diagnosed that were on a program before, or they have not been on any program at all?
Good evening, Thabo, and good evening to the viewers of Newzroom Afrika. Thanks very much for having me. I think we need to start at the targets that were set by UNAIDS, which is 95, 95, 95. Meaning 95% of the people that are HIV positive know their status. And the second 95 is that the 95% of those that know their status must be on treatment. So the 80% we're talking about is for the people that know their status, have gone to our facilities, have been tested, and they were initiated on treatment. Either they came once or twice or three times, but they were once initiated on treatment and they've just disengaged. So we target to reach the 95% of those people. So we are now at 80. We're nearing 80. I think just a little under 80, but we are certain we'll be there before the end of the financial year. Now, the efforts underway is to make sure that we trace those people, link them to care, but not only link them to care, retain them in care, so that we can then attain what we call viral suppression, which is the last 95.
Yeah. So what has been happening then for the last 10 years? I mean, for example, when the 95 strategy was announced in 2014, where were we sitting? What did we actually put in place up until now?
Look, I mean, it's interesting that, we didn't start at 70%. We started at a lower number. So we have really been progressing. And in fact, if you look at it, I mean, we've already achieved 95% of people that are HIV positive, but not just data. So that's the great achievement, really. Now, here, it's a number of people that then should be on treatment that are not in treatment. Just in the past 12 months, I mean, when we started rolling out quite aggressively, we were sitting at 72% just in the last 12 months. Now, we've already achieved a great amount of progress, because just 12 months ago, we were looking at 1.48 million people that were supposed to be put on treatment. And we pushed that number down from 1.48 million to 1.18 million people. So, which again says, it's quite a number of people that in about 12 months were able to trace and put them on treatment. And of course, we know the gap is quite huge given the short deadline. But we're working together with everybody. And I mean, we rely more on civil society. We rely more on any other sector organization that works with people that are living with HIV and AIDS to come to the party and mobilize those that have disengaged from care to come back to care. Yeah. Because the voice of government alone would not be enough to mobilize people, because some of these people, Thabo and the viewers, are our relatives and we know them and we live with them. So we have got programs of wanting to mobilize them to come back. And one such program is what we call multi-month dispensing. What is it? We are going to then dispense medication to those that are stable and very cooperative patients, so that they don't have to come to the clinics every day, because some of them may feel inconvenienced by the number one, the working hours of the clinics. They're working very far from where the clinics are. Clinics are not opening on Saturdays. If they open on Saturdays, by the time they get there, it's very late. So people that are living from day-to-day earnings may not find time to stop going to work to come for treatment. And if they are stable and they're on treatment, we're then willing to transition them. We've already started with a 2-month, multi-month dispensing. We transitioned very quickly to 3-month, multi-month dispensing. We'll be going to the 6 multi-month dispensing very soon. So we're aggressively going there so that many people find incentives of then taking their treatment, but they'll be taking it from the comfort of their homes.
So I'm interested in the disengaging. What does disengaging mean? It means, have you been doing well and you are under the impression that you no longer need to take medication, or you are still not well, but you have barriers, key barriers, maybe distance, or maybe long queues, or maybe you go there and hospitals don't have stock. What is it what is it that you're talking about when you're talking about disengaging from the treatment?
Look, there are various reasons, really. I mean, when we talk to the colleagues that are working with what we call community-led monitoring, they really summarize some of these problems that people are experiencing. One such problem is the one I've mentioned. For an example, if I work, Thabo, and my earning depends on my day-to-day work being at work, because I don't work for the employer who pays me once a month, I work for myself, I may find that being away from work for a day may become just an inconvenience. And therefore, once I feel a bit healthier and a bit better, I may choose to focus more on my job. So it's a question of balancing livelihood and life. So that could be one. The other area is I could be working very far away from my village, from my area, from my zone, from my ward, because of, where this is where I got my job. And by the time I come back, because the clinics, because of various reasons of resource constraints, they're closing at 4. And by the time I get home, it's very late. So indeed, it could be that I miss my appointment because I've got to attend to many other life-related issues and demands. Now, we are saying that's why we say, when people find it inconvenient, very problematic to go to the clinics, but they are very stable, we're saying to them, come through, we'll enroll you to month-to-month dispensing. If people allege that a nurse A in a clinic has got a bad attitude, we've got mechanisms in place, such as measuring the patient's experience of care in facilities, which tells us how happy the patients are with our services. And where the numbers are showing that people are not happy, there are mechanisms to intervene in those areas. Where people think the queues are too long, we've got an appointment system where people can then queue, come on the day that they've got to receive their treatment, So it's not that we're not doing anything, but we're saying, because we're working with human beings that have got other pressing needs in society, that is why we're then opting for putting people on a longer period where they've got their treatment, but provided they are stable and they can consistently take their treatment, so that we don't have a drawback where people have now taken treatment and they are not adherent. So we therefore have to educate and teach people the importance of attaining viral suppression, which is through consistent taking of the ARTs.
So you're speaking of the 95% of those who have been picked up, who have been diagnosed, been picked up in the system. Let's now talk about the rate of new infections. What's the data, especially among young people?
Look, the data it's problematic, particularly for younger people. I think various studies have shown us that younger people, particularly from the age of 15 up to 24, and even going up to maybe 39, 49. I mean, the numbers are very worrying because, we introduced, as people would know, various methods of prevention. For an example, the flavored condoms, as people would call them, strawberry, banana, vanilla, and stuff. And those we thought that they would be very helpful, but it hasn't proved like that they are very useful. But again, in this younger age group, we find that more and more younger females are getting infected, which also tends to be, if you look at it much deeper, many young girls and very few older men or very few men. It could be an issue of a power issue, where males still, dominating women and therefore infecting many women. But we have a program where we work together with the Department of Higher Education through a higher health program, which focuses on the children that are in the institutions of higher learning. But we're also working with the youth sector that focuses on the youth out of school. And also we want to zoom in there, working with the private sector. For those younger people that are early entrants or new entrants into employment. So there's a variety of programs. But we also have what we call PrEP, which is a pre-exposure prophylaxis, which then says for people that are at greater risk of getting infected, they get those services. So all this, we also have a developing ring that we also advocate. So there are many interventions really that are focusing on younger people, because we continue to be worried that we should then achieve a HIV/AIDS free generation at some point. But we're definitely working on that. And SANAC, South African National AIDS Council, becomes the major convener of all stakeholders, so that we can come together under that banner to then dialogue and understand what the real issues are.
Yeah.
And we would want to meet with younger people to hear from themselves what the real proposals are, because we can't plan for them without them.
So the minister pointing to another issue that would need clarity and I suppose your intervention, where facilities are taking too long to confirm diagnosis and initiate treatment. What's the intervention there?
There are few mechanisms of what we think, but let me just give you one. For an example, we have approved the policy of self-screening. When people get screened at home, at the comfort of their places, workplaces, they can then go to facilities to go and take a confirmatory test. And once that is done, they are then initiated, because we have started with a program of test and treat. We then, once people present and the diagnosis is made and is confirmed, the people are initiated on treatment. It's not like, let me give you an example, Tabo. You can't go to a clinic and the diagnosis says you've got a headache. Nobody must say to you, go home, you'll come and collect your Panadol tomorrow. We don't do that. We simply say, we now know you are HIV positive, we have confirmed the results, and then we educate you on the mechanisms, on the treatment that's available to you. That is what I'm saying. Those that knows their status and have come to the facilities, we can vouch. They have all been initiated. At some point or another, they've had a way of being introduced to ARTs. It could be that then they stop coming for whatever various reasons. And we're working with the community-led monitoring to understand fully what those various factors are and how do we intervene. So, and again, it's not an intervention where government alone will do it. We're working with the civil society sector, civil society forum, to make sure that we reach unto everyone who has got to go on treatment. And once we have reached them, through education, treatment literacy, make sure that we retain them in care. So I agree with the minister that there could be delays in some points, but I'm saying because we've got approved policies, we now know exactly what we've got to do. Yeah. Hence, our meeting in Cape Town was focused on acceleration, meaning we know what we're doing, but we're going to increase the speed.
Yes.
Many folds to make sure that we've got everybody on treatment and we keep them on treatment.
So that acceleration, what are the implications? I mean, if you are now going to dispense a 6-month supply, I'm sure that would have cost implications, that would have stocking implication and availability of medication.
Availability, not so much. I think you could talk about stock management. So that is why we're not going big bang. We gradually moving into that. As I said at the beginning, we started with the 2-month, multi-month dispensing. Now we're transitioning in this year to a 3-month, multi-month dispensing. We already target, and we're already going towards 3.3 million people that we're going to have. By December, we'd already reached about 2.7 million people on the 3 months. So we're moving towards that space. Now, once the system has been stabilized on the supply side of commodities and availability, of course, in the market, but also the health system's ability to carry that, well, gradually, those that then qualify, it's not like we're going to throw everybody out there. Well, there's still going to be clinical criteria to determine those who qualify. So in terms of qualifying criteria from the clinical point of view, we then transition you from this level to the next level so that, we then do not collapse the system where we throw everybody onto the 6 months, and 6 months later we come back and we've got to start all over again. So we're therefore working gradually towards that to ensure that the sustainability of what we're doing, and we don't have to come back. And we have agreed that from acceleration, we're going to then be working into the more details of how we're going to be going forward with each of the proposals that we've made. Let me just deal with the last thing, that the other thing of the acceleration. I don't know if it's the last thing from your side. We're encouraging people that we've got a program called the U equals to U, where we say if people maintain they are taking their treatment and they achieve a certain level of the viral load in the body and a certain level of viral suppression, we say then the U means the virus in you it's no more undetectable. We can't detect it. But you're saying once the virus is undetectable, it means it's not transmitted. Of course, we support that by saying, don't throw away all prevention measures into the sea, because we don't want to wake up tomorrow and have high rate of unwanted and planned pregnancies, and also high increases of STIs simply because of that. But we're saying, as an incentive, if you consistently take a treatment, you'll definitely arrive at what we call U equals to U.
DDG, appreciate your time. Let's leave it there. Much appreciated, and thank you for coming on. That is the acting DDG for Health Programs at the National Department of Health, Mr. Ramphelane Morewane.